The night he signed the termination letter was the same night fate quietly wrote her name on the form that would save his life. A man who had forgotten kindness, a woman too poor not to give it. Rain streaked the glass facade of Ward and Finch, where Ethan Ward, 38, sat in his corner office. His navy suit was flawless, his tie precisely knotted. The kind of perfection that came with power and loneliness. The board meeting had dragged on for 4 hours. More layoffs, more cuts, efficiency over empathy. Emotions don't belong on spreadsheets, he always said. When he finally stepped into the lobby, he saw her, a janitor kneeling by the marble floor, wringing out a mop. The name tag read Sophia Alvarez, young, pale, exhausted. "It's past 9, Ethan said evenly. "You're late again." Sophia looked up, startled. "I'm sorry, Mr. Ward. My mother just finished chemotherapy. We've discussed this," he cut in coldly. "The company operates on schedule, not sympathy. This is your 3rd violation in 3 weeks." Her lips trembled, but she stayed composed. "I'll make up the hours." "Please, HR has already processed your termination," he said flatly. Silence fell. The hum of fluorescent lights filled the space between them. Sophia's eyes flickered with something, hurt, maybe pride, but she only nodded. "Thank you for the opportunity," she murmured, and went back to wiping the floor, slow, careful, precise, like she was finishing her duty to the very last inch. When she finally walked past him, her thin jacket was soaked through, her shoes squelching with rain. Ethan didn't look back. 2 hours later, the city glowed under the storm. Ethan sat alone. Skyline reflected in the glass walls. The text from his estranged wife blinked on his phone. "Don't forget tomorrow's our anniversary." He stared at it for a long time before flipping the screen face down. 3 months since they separated. Emotional unavailability, she'd called it. He called it focus. Midnight. The rain thickened. His driver was late, so he decided to drive himself. 1 red light, 1 distracted driver, 1 flash of headlights. Metal screamed. The world split in half. When he woke up, it was white. Blindingly white. The air smelled of antiseptic. A monitor beeped beside him, steady and cold. A doctor leaned over. "Mr. Ward, you lost a dangerous amount of blood. Your type, O negative, is extremely rare. We're searching the registry." Ethan tried to speak, but his throat was raw. The IV line pulsed cold into his arm. For the first time in years, he felt powerless. Hours later, the doctor returned. "We found a match." The donor requested to stay anonymous. The transfusion began. Ethan drifted off into darkness. He woke the next morning to a vase, not of roses, but of wildflowers, placed on his bedside table. Tucked between the stems was a folded note. The handwriting was neat, but faintly smudged, like it had been written in a hurry. "I hope you heal soon. No one deserves to die alone. S.A. S.A." He turned it over again. Sophia Alvarez. Impossible. And yet the thought rooted itself in his chest. He asked the nurse, "The donor, can I thank them?" She smiled. She didn't leave her name, just that note. He leaned back, staring at the ceiling. The IV beeped on, slow and constant. He felt something burning behind his eyes. Not pain, something heavier. 3 days later, he was stable enough to walk. His wife, Maya, visited out of obligation more than love. "Do you want me to call PR?" she asked. He shook his head. "No press." She left soon after. He picked up the note again, reading the line over and over. "No one deserves to die alone." The words hit harder than the crash. He called his assistant. "Find out who donated the blood." "The hospital won't release that information, sir." "Then find another way. I owe them my life." "Yes, sir, but—" "Do it." When he hung up, his reflection in the dark screen looked foreign, pale, fragile, human. Later that evening, a nurse lingered near the door. "You asked about S.A.? I can't give a name, but I saw her that night. She came in drenched, trembling, kept asking if the blood could be used immediately. I told her it had to be processed. She still waited. Hours until we took it. She wrote that note and left. There was ink on her hands. I remember because she tried to rub it off. Ethan's pulse quickened. Ink. Hands. S. A. 3 weeks later, Ethan returned to Ward and Finch. His posture was the same, but something in his eyes had changed. As he walked through the halls, he noticed things he never had before. The janitor pushing a mop down the corridor, the hum of the vending machine, the sound of tired laughter from the cleaning crew, he called facilities. "Do we still have records of a former employee named Sofia Alvarez?" "Yes, sir. She was terminated for tardiness last month. Her address?" The man hesitated. "There are HR regulations." "Address," Ethan repeated quietly. The apartment complex was small, fading paint, water stains on the walls. Ethan stood at door 3B holding a bouquet of wildflowers, the same kind from his hospital room. The door opened. Sophia stood there thinner than before, eyes wide with disbelief. "Mr. Ward?" He nodded awkwardly. "Hi. I came to thank you." She blinked, unsure whether to smile. "You're better?" "Because of you." His voice cracked. "I owe you more than I can ever say." She hesitated, then stepped aside. "Come in. It's not much." The room was modest but spotless. In the corner, a frail older woman lay resting under a knitted blanket. Sophia whispered something to her in Spanish, then turned back. "She's my mother," she said softly. "She's the reason I was late. I don't blame you for firing me." Ethan swallowed. "I was wrong." Sophia shook her head. "You did what you thought was right for your company. And I did what I thought was right for my family." He stared at her, really seeing her for the first time. "Your mother's treatment, is it covered?" Sophia smiled faintly. "I'm applying for community aid, waiting to hear back." Ethan exhaled slowly. "Come to the office tomorrow. I want you to help me fix something." "Fix what?" she asked. He met her gaze. "The way we treat people." The next morning the boardroom was silent. Ethan stood at the head of the table. Behind him the screen read, "Compassion Policy." "We're establishing an emergency medical fund for frontline employees," he said. "Flexible schedules, family care leave, no one loses their job for being human." An executive frowned. "That'll increase costs." "The biggest cost," Ethan interrupted, "is losing our humanity." He looked down the table. Sophia sat quietly at the far end, wearing her old blue uniform, hands folded. "Ms. Alvarez," he said, "would you tell them what you did the night it rained?" Sophia rose, nervous but steady. "I didn't do anything special," she began softly. "They said someone needed O-negative. I had it. I signed the paper and waited. I just didn't want anyone to die alone." Silence blanketed the room. For once, no one looked at the numbers. Ethan cleared his throat. "Starting today, Ms. Alvarez will return to Ward and Finch as a full-time employee, with lifetime medical coverage for her family. And we're naming the fund after her. The Alvarez Foundation." Sophia's eyes filled. "Mr. Ward, why?" "Because when I was at my weakest," Ethan said, "you showed me what strength really means. Kindness isn't a cost, it's an investment." Months passed, the company changed. People stopped clocking in fear. They started showing up with pride. The janitor on the 12th floor got a new raincoat. The security guard took his daughter to the dentist on company time. And Ethan? He stopped rushing home to an empty penthouse. He stayed to talk to the people who used to disappear into the background. One night he found Sophia folding clean linens in the supply room. "How's your mother?" he asked. "Getting better," she said, smiling. "For the first time I can say that." He nodded. "You've changed this place." "So have you," she said. "You finally listen." He chuckled. "I had a good teacher." 4 months later, the hospital sent news. Her mother was in remission. Ethan threw a small celebration in the lobby. No speeches, just cake, music, and laughter. When the crowd quieted, he handed Sophia an envelope. She opened it and froze. A scholarship, Ward and Finch Management Training Program. Ethan smiled. If you ever want to lead a team, I think you'd be great at it. Her voice trembled. Why me? He met her eyes. Because that night, you taught me something no MBA ever could. That compassion creates value. Real value. Applause rippled through the room. A year later, the Alvarez Foundation had helped hundreds of employees and their families. Turnover dropped. Morale rose. But the real transformation wasn't on paper. It was in people. One evening, Sophia, now a supervisor, walked into the rooftop terrace. Ethan was setting up chairs for an event. The CEO of a billion-dollar company, sleeves rolled up, laughing with the janitors. You're placing them wrong, she teased. He looked up and smiled. Teachers here. She moved closer, adjusting the chairs. Diagonal so the walkway stays open. He nodded. Thank you for all the diagonals you've taught me. She tilted her head. Just remember one thing. What's that? No one deserves to feel invisible in the place they give their life to. Ethan's voice softened. And no one deserves to die alone. They stood side by side, watching the sunset. The city roared below, but up here, there was peace. Later, at the event, Ethan took the mic. His voice was steady, almost gentle. Someone once told me, if you can do something, you should. Today I'll add, do it together. The crowd applauded. His gaze met Sophia's in the front row. Between them there was no debt left, only gratitude. A firing had become a saving. A company had rediscovered its soul. That night, as rain tapped softly on the glass walls of Ward and Finch, Ethan stood by the window and smiled for the first time in years. He thought of the woman who walked into a hospital soaked in rain, donated her blood, and wrote a note that changed his life. No one deserves to die alone, and no one deserves to be unseen in their own story. Because sometimes the smallest act of kindness doesn't just save a life, it rewrites two of them.